Hello, dear friend. Come sit with me a while. Imagine we're sharing a quiet morning on the porch, a warm cup of tea between us, the gentle rustling of leaves above, and the soft scent of lavender dancing through the air. The sun is just beginning to stretch across the sky and the garden. Your garden is waiting not for money or perfection, but for a little love and imagination. Isn't it something how a garden can reflect the soul? Not the polished kind we see in magazines, but the soulful kind, weathered, whimsical, alive with stories. And here's a little secret. You don't need deep pockets to create beauty. You don't need to be young or strong. You just need a little spark of wonder, a few forgotten things, and the joy of bringing them back to life. Today, I want to take you on a gentle journey through petals and pebbles, through thrifted treasures, and bits of old fabric bottle caps and broken frames. Together, we'll turn what most folks might toss away into something magical. We'll breathe new life into dusty dolls, lonely teacups, and the odd bicycle chain. We'll make art from scraps. And in doing so, we'll remind ourselves that we too are not defined by what we once were, but by what we can become. So, whether you're tending a small patch of earth, a few pots on a sunny balcony, or just dreaming from your favorite chair, I hope these ideas bring a little brightness into your day. This isn't just about garden decor. It's about seeing possibility in what others overlook. It's about honoring the hands that still make beauty and the heart that still dreams. Now let's begin this quiet adventure where every old object has a story and every story can bloom again right in your garden. Do you remember the kind of toy that once sat quietly on a shelf? Maybe it belonged to a child long grown. Maybe it came from a yard sale or a box marked free. An old wooden doll forgotten by many but not by you. This is where our first bit of magic begins. Picture this. You come across that weathered doll at a thrift shop. Her paint chipped her limbs a little stiff, but something about her still whispers dignity. With a little imagination, she becomes something far more powerful, a forest guardian. A symbol of protection, memory, and silent wisdom reborn to watch over your garden. To create your own forest guardian, begin with the doll as your centerpiece. Don't worry if she's a little worn, that only adds to her story. Find 2 or 3 strong twisted branches from your yard or a local park. These will serve as graceful extensions of her form, like outstretched arms or roots grounding her to the earth. Gently clean them, but keep their natural texture. Next, position the doll upright using a pot filled with stones or a garden stake, then secure the branches behind or around her with wood glue or a bit of twine. Twine, especially natural jute, not only holds things together but also adds a rustic charm. You don't need to do any heavy lifting or precise carpentry, just a slow, thoughtful arrangement, one piece at a time. Once assembled, place your forest guardian in a shaded garden corner, perhaps among tall ferns, ivy, or under the shelter of a tree. Somewhere quiet where she can stand with grace. As time passes, she will gather a gentle patina from the weather, blending even more into the natural surroundings. You might even add a small solar light nearby, casting a warm glow at dusk. She doesn't speak. She doesn't move. But she watches, and her presence changes everything. Suddenly, that part of the garden feels sacred, a place of stillness and strength. And all it took was something once forgotten, now standing proud again. In many ways, aren't we the same? A little older, a little weathered, but with stories still to tell. We may no longer stand in the center of the room, but we still hold presence, meaning, and beauty. That's what this forest guardian reminds me of. Not just a doll, but a tribute to quiet resilience. Do you remember when you believed in fairies? Maybe you still do. Maybe there's a part of you that still imagines tiny wings fluttering behind the bushes, or a soft giggle in the wind that dances through your garden. Let's bring that magic back just enough to make you smile. It starts with something small. A miniature chair found at a thrift shop like Eco-Thrift. It might be a doll's chair or a decorative accent someone no longer wanted. Something once loved, now waiting for a second chance. Pick it up. Hold it in your hand. Feel its weight, its potential. Now gather some discarded plastic bottle caps, the kind that would normally be tossed into the recycling bin without a second thought. Wash them gently, lay them out, and let your eyes see beyond their shape. These are your jewels now. And this chair, it's about to become a royal fairy throne. Begin by placing the chair on a table where you can work comfortably without bending or straining. Arrange the bottle caps around the edges of the chair on the legs, the backrest, even the arms if it has them. Use a strong adhesive to secure them in place. If you're feeling playful, you can add a little sparkle, a dab of glitter glue, or a few rhinestones from the craft drawer. Anything that makes it shine in the sunlight like magic. Some caps might be painted in pastel colors, others left as they are. The mismatched nature of it all is part of the charm. Once dry, the chair becomes something else entirely, a whimsical focal point that seems plucked from a storybook. Now comes the fun part, where to place it. Tuck your fairy throne under a shrub with large leaves where it looks like a tiny queen could appear at any moment. Or nestle it at the base of a tree just beside a patch of moss or ferns. If you have a wide pot on your patio, this throne could sit in its own miniature garden kingdom, surrounded by pebbles, marigolds, or ivy. Every time you pass by, it'll invite a pause, a smile, maybe even a whisper of childlike wonder. Guests might notice it too, and when they do, they'll lean in close, grinning like they've stumbled into a secret. That's the power of something so simple. A small chair and some old plastic become a doorway, a moment of delight, a reason to believe that your garden holds more than soil, and leaves it holds stories. Because in a world that sometimes feels too fast, too loud, and too grown up, isn't it lovely to know you can still build a throne for something as gentle as a dream? Somewhere in your memory there's a teddy bear. Maybe it belonged to you as a child, or perhaps to someone you once rocked in your arms. Its fur may have thinned its button eyes a little loose, but oh, the comfort it gave. The quiet it knew. The love it absorbed. And now, with a bit of gentle crafting, that same kind of softness can find a home in your garden. Imagine coming across a large, well-loved teddy bear at a thrift store. One whose fluff is no longer fluffy, whose seams are a little stretched. Not suitable for snuggling anymore, but perfect for becoming something new, a symbol of peaceful presence in your outdoor space. This project begins not with cutting or carving, but with kindness. Take the teddy bear and wrap it in pieces of old burlap sacks. These might be from coffee bean bags or potato sacks textured and worn. The kind of fabric that feels a little like time itself. No need to sew perfectly. In fact, rough stitches and frayed edges only add to the charm. You can use a simple needle and thread or even just hot glue to secure the burlap in patches like a rustic quilt wrapping a sleepy friend. To give your bear depth and natural color, use a soft, dry brush and dab on some earthy-toned acrylic paint browns, grays, maybe a little mossy green. Light strokes are all you need. The goal isn't to cover him completely, but to blend him gently into the landscape. Once your teddy is dressed in his new coat, find a place for him in the garden. Somewhere low, safe, and serene. Perhaps beside a pond or under a favorite tree. Tuck him near ornamental grasses or in a shady patch where he won't fade too fast. If you'd like, place a small, smooth stone in his lap or by his side as if he's guarding a treasure or simply meditating. When neighbors come by, they'll likely do a double take. A teddy bear in the garden, but as they look closer, they'll understand. He's not just decor. He's a presence, a peaceful, grounding energy. Something soft in a world that often forgets to be gentle. And for you, dear friend, every time you see him sitting quietly among the leaves, he may remind you of something just as soft in your own heart. That there's beauty in being still. That age is no barrier to offering comfort. That even a bear with worn seams still has purpose and peace. It's a quiet reminder we don't have to be shiny or new to belong. We just have to be placed with care. There's something timeless about the eyes of an owl. Deep, unblinking, quietly watchful, as if they've seen the seasons turn 100 times and still greet each dawn with grace. An owl in the garden is more than a decoration. It's a symbol of wisdom, of knowing when to speak and when to listen. And wouldn't it be something to bring that quiet wisdom into your own backyard? Start with a simple thrifted treasure, a ceramic owl figurine. They're not too hard to find. Just keep an eye out the next time you wander through eco-thrift or a secondhand shop. Look for one with character. Maybe it's slightly chipped, or maybe its glaze has dulled with time. That's not a flaw, it's a story. The kind of story that fits beautifully in a garden like yours. Now let's build the perch. Head outside and find a discarded tree branch, nothing too heavy, just sturdy enough to support the figurine. Let the wood be weathered. Cracks, knots, and texture add personality. If the base of the branch is uneven, trim it so it stands steady in a pot garden bed or nestled against a rock. With strong adhesive or a bit of outdoor safe epoxy, secure the owl to its branch. Position it so it's slightly turned, as if gazing thoughtfully into the breeze. You can even add a bit of twine at the base, or a dab of moss for a natural finish. Place your new owl perch in a spot that offers a view, perhaps overlooking a small seating area, or standing guard near the garden gate. Somewhere you'll pass by often, where its presence can greet you like a dear old friend. And that's the real magic. Over time, you'll find yourself looking to it not just as decor, but as a quiet companion. It becomes part of your daily rhythm, something that anchors the space without asking for attention. Guests might ask where you bought such a charming piece, and you'll smile and say, "Oh, it's just something I made from a little owl I found and a branch from the yard." But you'll know it's more than that. Because when you repurpose with intention, when you take something forgotten and give it a place of honor, it changes everything. The owl teaches us that wisdom isn't loud. It's presence, stillness, watching the wind move through the trees and understanding that nothing lasts forever. But everything for a moment can be beautiful. So if you ever feel overlooked, dear friend, remember the owl. A little weathered, a little quiet, and absolutely essential. Now this next one may surprise you, dear friend. It's bold, it's dramatic, and it starts with something most folks would throw away without a second thought, an old bicycle chain. You might remember one from years ago, greasy, clunky, wrapped around the back tire of a child's bike. It carried scraped knees and summertime laughter rides through puddles and gravel paths. And now that same chain, stiff with age, can rise again as a dragon. Yes, a dragon, regal, powerful, full of personality, not fierce but wise and noble, just like you. To begin, gather that old bike chain and lay it out flat. You'll want a few other metal odds and ends too, perhaps some wire washers or broken garden tools. Don't worry if they're mismatched. Like old memories, they'll come together in unexpected, beautiful ways. With a pair of sturdy pliers and gloves to protect your hands, start shaping the chain into a gentle coil. Think of a sleeping dragon's tail curled in on itself. Use smaller metal pieces to create features, pointed scales, a jagged jaw, or sharp little eyes. There's no right or wrong here. Let your imagination guide you. If you have access to wire or even just twist ties, these can help hold the structure in place as you build. For a more lasting hold, you might invite a family member or neighbor to help with a bit of soldering, just a touch to fuse the pieces securely. But even without welding, a combination of wire wrapping and outdoor safe glue can do wonders for stability. Once your dragon begins to take shape, consider where it might sleep. Tuck it into a flower bed as if it's guarding hidden treasures beneath the soil. Coil it around a large planter or perch it atop a flat stone like it's surveying its kingdom. A quick coat of metallic spray paint, copper bronze or mossy green, can give it a weathered, majestic finish. Or leave it raw and rusty for that true ancient feel. And here's the lovely part, this dragon doesn't roar. It doesn't fly, but it reminds. It reminds you that from strength and scrap, something magical can be made. It invites visitors to pause, to marvel, to wonder, who thought of that? You did. It's a celebration of fierce creativity, of taking something bound for the junkyard and turning it into a centerpiece that looks like it came from a high-end gallery, all for just a few dollars and a bit of heart. So when you walk past your garden dragon each day, maybe let it remind you of your own fire. Quiet, yes, but steady, alive, and beautifully, wonderfully yours. Do you ever catch the sunlight at just the right angle and feel like the world is opening into something magical? Like for one brief second, you're not just in your garden, you're somewhere beyond. This next idea captures that feeling perfectly. It starts with an old picture frame. You might have one lying around, one that no longer holds a photo, or perhaps was sitting dusty on a thrift store shelf. Its edges chipped, its surface scratched, but its shape still strong. That frame becomes the doorway, the portal, a shimmering window into another realm. Now gather a handful of discarded CDs or DVDs, the kind we all seem to have tucked away in drawers or old cases. Music we no longer play, software we've long forgotten. Their shiny backs, however, still dance with rainbows. With a bit of care, break the discs into irregular pieces. You can wrap them in a soft cloth and press gently with pliers to avoid sharp edges flying. There's something strangely satisfying about it, the transformation of smooth, perfect circles into tiny, jagged jewels. Once you have your collection, begin gluing the pieces onto the surface of the frame. There's no pattern required, just let your hands move. Let the pieces overlap or scatter like fallen stars. Use a strong adhesive that's suitable for outdoor use, and cover the entire face of the frame like you're setting a mosaic. You can even frame both sides if you wish, so no matter the angle it gleams. When the light catches it, oh friend, it becomes something special. Each shard glimmers in its own way like dragonfly wings or morning dew. The result is otherworldly, not flashy or loud, but softly spellbinding. Place your enchanted portal where it can reflect the sun. Prop it gently against a garden wall or nestle it among wildflowers. Hang it from a tree limb with twine so it sways in the breeze, casting shifting colors over your path. Wherever you place it, it will become a quiet spectacle, one that invites curiosity and whispers of wonder. And you might find as you gaze through it that the world seems a little different, a little softer, a little more enchanted. Because that's the power of taking what no longer serves its original purpose and turning it into something beautiful, something light-catching, something hopeful. Like many of us, these CDs had chapters that ended, but their story wasn't over. With your hands and a little glue, they became something new, something that doesn't just reflect the sun, but reflects who you are. A maker of beauty, a keeper of stories, a gentle conjurer of light. Have you ever walked through your garden and felt like someone or something small might be watching from the shadows? Not in a spooky way, but in a storybook way. Like the air itself is holding a secret. That's where the idea of a gnome home comes in. A tiny, welcoming shelter for the imagined friends of the forest. And wouldn't it be lovely to give them a place to call their own? You can begin with something as humble as an old wooden birdhouse, the kind you often find at eco-thrift. Maybe the paint is peeling or the roof is missing a slat. That's perfectly fine. What matters is the shape, the sense of home. Once you've found one that feels right, gently clean it with a damp cloth, leaving the weathered charm just as it is. Now let's talk about the roof. Instead of shingles, we'll use discarded bottle caps, each one a tiny circle of color and memory. They can come from soda bottles, water jugs, even vintage milk containers. If they're rusty, that's character. If they're bright and clean, even better. Lay them out in rows like fish scales and glue them to the roof, starting from the bottom and working your way up, so each layer slightly overlaps the one before. You'll be amazed how cap by cap it transforms, from a plain old birdhouse into a storybook-worthy gnome cottage. To finish, use small pebbles or gravel to make a whimsical walkway leading to the tiny front door. If your hands are steady, you can even paint a little welcome sign above the entrance. Use strong outdoor adhesive to keep everything in place, and feel free to add tiny details, maybe a little mushroom made from a wine cork, an acorn cap, or a patch of moss along the bottom edge. Now, where should your gnome home live? The best spot is somewhere unexpected. Nestle it near the base of a bush so it peeks out just slightly. Tuck it behind a pot on the patio where visitors might only spot it if they look closely. Or place it near your favorite garden bench so it always keeps you company. The delight of this project isn't just in the making, it's in the discovery. Seeing the way others light up when they notice it. Watching birds flit nearby, or a breeze send a bottle cap dancing ever so slightly in the sun. But most of all, it's in the reminder that even the smallest corners of our world deserve a little magic. And maybe that's the deeper message here, that care, attention, and imagination don't have to be grand. Sometimes they come in the form of a tiny roof made from forgotten caps and a doorway no taller than your thumb. But the joy it brings, that part, is enormous. Do you remember your favorite teacup? Maybe it had a tiny chip on the rim or a faded pattern along the edge. Perhaps it once belonged to someone dear, a mother, a sister, or a friend, and held more than just tea. It held memories, warmth, comfort. Now imagine giving those old teacups a brand new life, not in a cupboard, but among the flowers. This next creation is one of whimsy, story, and unexpected delight, a teacup mushroom village. Start by gathering a few mismatched teacups and saucers, perhaps ones you no longer use or treasures you find while thrifting. Don't worry about the style or pattern. In fact, the more variety, the more magical the result. Next, you'll need a few discarded plastic bottles, ones with a gentle curve and a sturdy base. These will become your mushroom stems. Trim them to a height of about 5 to 8 inches, depending on where you'd like them to sit. Paint the stems with earthy tones, browns, creams, or mossy greens. You can use acrylic paint and a soft brush, dabbing gently to keep texture light. Once dry, flip your teacups upside down and glue them securely onto the tops of the bottles. The cup becomes the mushroom cap, and the saucer, if you use it, can act as a wide base or whimsical platform. Each mushroom will look slightly different, some tall, some squat, some colorful, some neutral. That's part of the magic. These aren't mushrooms meant to match, they're meant to charm. Now it's time to plant them. You can nestle them in clusters between flowers in your garden beds like they've sprouted overnight. Or create a miniature scene in a large planter box, maybe on your balcony or porch, adding a little moss, a tiny pebble path, and even a few toy figurines if your heart desires. Even just 1 or 2 of these teacup mushrooms brings a smile. But an entire village that creates a whole story. One that suggests something magical is always just beneath the surface. That your garden is not just a place of blooms and soil, but of stories. And here's a gentle tip: place one where only you know. A hidden mushroom just for you. A secret reminder that you are still playful, still creative, still able to turn something as simple as a broken teacup into a bit of beauty. Because, dear friend, you are the kind of person who sees what others miss, who sees not just objects but opportunity, not just trash but treasure. And with every mushroom you plant, every small world you create, you're leaving behind more than decor. You're leaving behind wonder. And that's something the world could use a little more of. Let's go somewhere unexpected today, not above ground, but beneath the waves. Deep into the blue, where coral reefs bloom like underwater gardens teeming with color, mystery, and life. And now, imagine bringing that magic into your very own backyard. Not with water or fish, but with forks and spoons. Yes, this next piece begins with something as ordinary as old plastic cutlery. To begin, find a tall, narrow vase or cylinder from the thrift store. Glass, plastic, or ceramic, it doesn't matter. What matters is that it feels like a tower, a canvas rising from the soil. This will be your reef's base. Wipe it clean and let it dry under the sun. Now gather your cutlery. Maybe they're leftovers from a picnic or party, or a mixed bag from a secondhand shop. Sort them by type: spoons, for petals; forks, for coral branches; knife tips, for wave-like motion. With scissors or garden snips, carefully cut and shape each piece into soft curves or jagged ridges. Some may break unevenly. That's okay. The sea is full of beautiful imperfections. Arrange these pieces around your base like sea anemones blooming outward. Use strong outdoor adhesive to secure each one, working slowly, letting your vision guide you. Start from the bottom and move upward, building layers like a reef slowly forming over time. Then comes the transformation spray paint. Choose ocean colors: turquoise, deep blue, seafoam green, coral pink. You might even mist gold or pearl white over the top to catch the light. Let the colors blend gently like a current passing through. Once it's dry, give the piece a soft tap. It may shimmer. It may even hum in the wind. And it will certainly glow. Where to place it? This reef totem loves being near a water feature, a bird bath, a small fountain, or even a pot filled with smooth stones. If you don't have one, let it stand tall among ornamental grasses where its sea shapes contrast beautifully with upright green blades. Or position it near a patio where guests can admire its artistry up close. And every time you see it, you'll be reminded of something important: that even in a garden rooted in earth, you can bring the ocean's freedom. That even discarded cutlery meant to be used once and forgotten can be shaped into something breathtaking. And perhaps most beautifully, this coral reef doesn't harm the sea, it honors it. It's a quiet tribute to beauty that survives against all odds, to color that blooms in the deepest places, to life that adapts, endures, and dazzles just like you have. So if ever you need a gentle escape, a reminder of faraway places and hidden strength, Let your eyes drift across your coral reef. Let it bring you a deep breath, a quiet smile, a ripple of joy. Because even plastic can carry the spirit of the sea when held with care. Close your eyes for a moment and picture the edge of the sea. Not the crowded beaches, but the quiet coves. A place where the water meets the rocks in a soft rhythm, where bits of shell and glass glisten underfoot, and where you might just imagine a mermaid pausing for a breath. That's the feeling we're capturing in this next piece, a mermaid rest chair, elegant, tranquil, and full of sea-washed wonder. It begins, as all good stories do, with something old. A wooden chair, sturdy, well-loved, maybe a little chipped around the edges. You might find it at Eco-Thrift or even waiting near the curb on a lucky day. It doesn't have to be fancy. In fact, a bit of weathered charm makes it even more perfect for what's to come. Wipe it down gently. Sand off any loose flakes if needed, but don't worry about perfection. You're not restoring it to look new. You're preparing it to look enchanted. Now comes the fun. Gather your treasures. Broken seashells, bits of smooth sea glass, even those iridescent shards from old plates or vases. These become the mosaic. These become the mermaid's memory. Using strong outdoor adhesive or tile glue, begin placing each piece on the chair along the seat, the backrest, maybe even down the arms. You can do this all at once or over several days, moving slowly like the tide. Let the pieces overlap or form little clusters, no need for symmetry. The ocean doesn't worry about straight lines. Once your mosaic is complete, use a grout suitable for outdoor use to fill in the spaces just as you would with a kitchen backsplash. Press it in gently with gloved hands or a rubber spatula, then wipe away the excess. When it dries, seal everything with a clear outdoor safe spray to protect your creation from sun and rain. The result, a chair that doesn't shout, it shimmers. Now find it a quiet corner in your garden. Place it near a fern-draped wall or under a shady tree. Somewhere you can sit and listen to the wind whisper through the leaves like waves over stones. You can even add a small bowl of water or a seashell wind chime nearby to complete the oceanic mood. But here's the real beauty: you don't need the sea to feel its peace. Every time you settle into that chair or even just pass by it, you'll feel something soften, as if the world has slowed for a moment, as if you've stepped into a memory that never quite belonged to this place, but somehow fits here anyway. It's not just a seat, it's a sanctuary, a place where the past and present meet, where imagination floats gently beside the real. So if you ever feel like the world is moving too quickly, come sit here. Let your feet rest, let your mind drift, and know that your hands created a resting place, not just for the garden, but for the soul. There are some symbols that speak directly to the soul, and one of them, dear friend, is the tree of life. Its roots dig deep into the earth, its branches stretch toward the sky, and in between is everything: strength, resilience, renewal. Imagine having that symbol right there in your garden, not as a statue bought from a store, but one that grew from your own hands, shaped with care from pieces most would never think to use. To begin this soulful project, you'll need a discarded wire lampshade frame, one of those bare skeletal shapes you often find at thrift stores, stripped of fabric and forgotten in the corner. Its rounded form already resembles a crown of branches. All it needs is you to bring it to life. Next, gather some old electrical wires. You might have them tucked away in the garage or can find them in the bins at Eco-Thrift. Choose wires in earthy tones, copper, brown, black, or paint them later to match your vision. Use wire cutters and pliers to trim them into long strands. Don't worry if the lengths vary. Like roots and branches, the variation adds to the beauty. Anchor one end of each wire at the bottom of the frame, twisting tightly to secure. These will form your tree's roots. Let them snake outward or curl into gentle spirals. Then begin weaving the wires upward, shaping them into climbing, swirling branches. You can braid a few together for thickness, twist some into loops, or leave others wild and reaching. There is no wrong way, just let the motion flow like growth itself. If you like, add little embellishments, buttons, beads, or bits of sea glass tucked into the branches like blossoms or fruit. This is your tree, your story. When complete, place it somewhere contemplative. Perhaps in a corner of your balcony garden where the sun catches the copper, or among low greenery where it stands as a quiet sentinel. Its open design allows light and shadow to play across its form, making it feel alive, even in stillness. And then step back. Look at what you've made. A sculpture that doesn't just sit in your garden. It belongs to it. Rooted, radiant, rising. A reminder that even from what seems bare or broken, a lampshade frame, a tangle of wire, something meaningful can grow. Just like us. We've all been through seasons, haven't we, times, when we've had to shed leaves, let go, begin again. But we're still here. Still reaching toward light. Still growing in ways both seen and unseen. So when you walk past your tree of life, let it be more than decor. Let it be a mirror of everything you've overcome, of everything still blooming in you. Because, dear friend, you are rooted in strength, and your branches are still growing. Somewhere between day and night, light and shadow, there's a place of balance. A quiet in between. The warmth of the sun, the calm of the moon, each watching over us in turn. And in your garden, that gentle balance can become something you see every day. Something you create. This next piece is called the Sun and Moon Totem, and its base, an old metal serving tray. Yes, the kind that might have once held cookies during a family gathering or sat in the back of a kitchen cupboard, scratched and forgotten. But now it's about to shine again in more ways than one. Start by finding a tray with a wide, flat surface. Round ones work beautifully, but any shape will do. Clean it thoroughly and let it dry. If it has dents or imperfections, embrace them. They'll only make your totem feel more celestial, more lived in, like a moon crater or sunspot. Now gather your materials, discarded bottle caps, old CDs, and any metallic bits and pieces you've saved, buttons, washers, small keys. These will become the elements of your sun and moon. Decide where each celestial body will live on the tray. Maybe the sun rises on one side in brilliant golds and oranges, and the moon glows in cool blues and silvers on the other. Break the CDs into small mosaic pieces, use gloves and wrap them in cloth for safety, and begin to glue them in curved, radiant shapes for sun rays. The bottle caps can be arranged in circles or arcs to mimic the moon's craters or phases. There's no single way to do it. Trust your eye. Let it be fluid and free. Once your design is complete and dry, give the whole piece a gentle spray of outdoor sealant. This not only protects it from weather, but adds a soft sheen that catches the sunlight and moonlight just right. Now let's talk about placement. Prop your totem upright on a plant stand or easel on the patio. Lean it against a tree trunk or mount it onto a wooden board and place it near a favorite chair or quiet nook. Wherever it goes, it becomes more than just decoration. It becomes rhythm. A reminder that time flows gently, that every moment, bright or dark, has its place. And perhaps more importantly, it reminds us that we carry both energies in us too. We shine, we rest. We warm others and sometimes need warmth ourselves. There are days when we glow like the sun, and others when we quietly reflect like the moon. So this totem made from scraps and discards becomes something sacred. A tribute to all the cycles we've lived through and to the grace of allowing each one to be beautiful in its own way. Because in your garden, dear friend, nothing is wasted. Not time, not memory, not even an old serving tray. There's a kind of magic in imagining what might lie just behind a tiny door. Not a grand gate or a bold entrance, but something small, round, and tucked beneath roots or ivy. A door for hobbits, perhaps, or wandering dreams, or quiet stories still waiting to be told. And today, we're going to build just that, a hobbit door for your garden. A simple creation full of warmth, wonder, and whimsy. Start with a piece of round salvaged wood. You might find an old tabletop at a thrift store, or even a wooden cutting board that's worn smooth from years of use. It doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, knots and cracks only add to the charm. If your piece isn't naturally round, you can gently round the edges with a sander or use it as is. In this project, character matters more than precision. Next, gather your details. Discarded metal washers, screws, or small nuts become rustic hinges. An old drawer knob makes a perfect door handle. You might even glue on a few pebbles or a tiny keyhole made from wire bent into shape. Lay out your pieces first to get a feel for where everything belongs. Then use strong outdoor adhesive or a bit of wood glue if working indoors to attach each element. You can lightly paint the wood with a soft green or earthy tone if you'd like. Then seal it with a clear, waterproof finish. Or leave it natural, letting the weather age it into the world it belongs to. Now for the best part, where to place your hobbit door. This little wonder belongs in an unexpected spot. Prop it against the base of a large tree where moss grows and roots twist like ancient arms. Or lean it at the edge of a raised flower bed as if it leads to something just below the soil. It can also nestle between stones in a rock garden or hide behind a curtain of trailing ivy. Wherever it goes, it invites curiosity. Children will crouch down and knock. Adults will smile and remember. And you'll know that this door leads to something real, not a place perhaps, but a feeling. A feeling of childhood wonder, of quiet joy, of stories that don't need to be explained to be felt. Because this door isn't just for hobbits or fairy tales. It's for you. A reminder that even as we grow older, we never lose the ability to believe in magic. We just need to build a place for it to live. And what better place than your garden? A space where things grow slowly, where beauty emerges in its own time, where a simple wooden circle made from something forgotten becomes a gateway to peace, playfulness, and imagination. So build it slowly, place it gently, and let your hobbit door whisper to all who pass by there is wonder here. Do you remember the old trees from childhood stories? The ones with faces wise, wrinkled, sometimes mischievous, that seem to know things before you spoke them aloud. There's something timeless about imagining trees as storytellers. And in your garden, you can give one of them your voice through a simple, joyful creation. Let me introduce you to the talking tree face. It begins with a thrifted ceramic mask. Perhaps it's slightly chipped or its paint has faded over time. Maybe it's a theatrical mask or a simple face meant for the wall. Either way, it holds potential not for decoration but for personality. Gently clean it, letting the cracks and wear remain as part of its charm. Now gather your accents, discarded bottle caps, bits of colorful fabric buttons, string, or even old costume jewelry. These will become the eyes, the hair, the expression. Start by choosing 2 bottle caps that feel like eyes, perhaps mismatched or painted with little dots, to give a playful sparkle. Use a strong adhesive to secure them onto the eye holes or directly above. For hair, cut long strips of colorful fabric or yarn and glue them across the top like wild flowing locks. You can braid some pieces, let others curl or dangle, and even tuck in a feather or 2 if you're feeling extra imaginative. Feel free to add a fabric mouth or leave the original expression as is serene, silly, or sly. There's no rule here, only play. Once your face is finished, seal it with a weather-resistant coating. This will help preserve the fabric and colors in sun and rain. Now for the grand reveal placement. Find a tree in your garden that feels friendly, one with a strong trunk and a little space at eye level. Gently secure the face to the bark using twine nails if you're comfortable, or a mounted board behind the mask. Make sure it's stable but still feels like it's peeking naturally from the tree itself. And just like that, your garden has a new companion. This talking tree won't move. It won't speak. But oh, it will watch. It will welcome visitors with a knowing smile. It will charm children and make guests chuckle. And for you, it may feel like a gentle nod each time you pass by, like the garden itself is winking. Because here's the secret, it's not really the tree that's talking. It's you, your imagination, your humor, your creativity. You've taken forgotten things, a broken mask, old fabric bottle caps, and turned them into something joyful, something soulful. And more than that, you've reminded yourself that even the silliest idea can bloom into something beautiful when given care. That laughter belongs in your garden just as much as lavender or roses. That a face in the tree can say, "Welcome. Stay a while." This is a place of stories. So the next time you water the flowers or rest in the shade, glance over at that playful face. Smile back, because in a world that sometimes feels too serious, too silent, you've made room for whimsy, for wonder, for just a little bit of magic. Some days your garden doesn't need to be quiet. Some days it wants to giggle. This next creation is full of life, laughter, and just the right touch of mischief, a monkey playground made from nothing more than an old, hanging basket and a few plastic bottles. It's playful, unexpected, and absolutely delightful, especially in a breezy corner where it can swing with the wind and bring a smile to anyone who sees it. Let's begin with your base, a hanging basket. You know, the kind wire or woven perhaps with a bit of rust or weather wear. One you might find at eco-thrift or even in the garage unused. It doesn't matter if it's fancy. All it needs is a solid shape and a hook or chain for hanging. Now gather your monkeys. This is where creativity really swings into action. Use discarded plastic bottles of various sizes, soda bottles, water bottles, or even little travel-sized ones. Rinse them clean and remove the labels. Then, with a pair of scissors or crafting blade, cut shapes that resemble little monkey bodies, arms raised as if mid-swing curly tails cut from strips of plastic and gently heated to curl even big round eyes drawn or glued on. Paint them if you like with shades of brown tan or even bright jungle colors like green and orange. Add yarn for hair or bottle caps for ears. The more playful and imperfect the better. You're not aiming for realism, you're crafting joy. Once the monkeys are ready, use fishing line, garden wire, or even colorful string to hang them from the basket. Some can dangle by their arms, others can climb the chain. You might even create a little rope bridge between two hooks or tree branches, letting them travel from one side to the other. Now for placement. This monkey playground loves movement. Hang it from a sturdy tree limb, an overhang on the porch, or a shepherd's hook in the garden bed. Somewhere where a soft wind can sway it gently, making the monkeys dance in the air. And when that happens, when the sun hits the plastic just right and the monkeys begin to twirl, you'll feel something shift inside you. A laugh rising. A memory of childhood. A sense that your garden is not just peaceful, it's alive. This little corner you've made with swinging monkeys made from what others would toss away is more than a decoration. It's a declaration. That joy belongs here. That play doesn't have to fade with age. That even plastic bottles can carry a sense of movement, energy, and happiness. And isn't that something worth celebrating? So the next time you step outside, listen closely. The wind might be carrying more than just the scent of flowers. It might be whispering laughter echoing through your monkey playground, reminding you that you too were born to swing, to play, to create. Because in this garden, even the wild ones have a place. Every garden has its secret. Twisting between stones, hiding beneath leaves, coiled up in quiet corners. Not all of them are flowers. Some of them slither. Some of them shimmer. And some, like this one, tell a story with every curve. Today's piece is a touch exotic, a little unexpected, and absolutely striking, a snake spiral crafted from an old garden hose. It begins with something many of us have tucked away in a shed or garage. A hose that's been kinked one too many times, maybe cracked from the sun, maybe long since replaced. Before you toss it, take one more look. Because with a few thoughtful twists, that old hose is about to become a piece of garden art. Start by coiling the hose gently into a spiral. You can shape it flat like a resting snake or make it upright with a slight arc like it's lifting its head in curiosity. For support, insert a repurposed wire coat hanger or some bendable garden wire inside the hose. This gives it just enough structure to hold the shape without too much strain on your hands. Now for the details. Every snake needs scales, and that's where discarded bottle caps come in. Gather caps in greens, browns, silvers, or metallic tones. Lay them out along the top of the hose's body, overlapping slightly like real scales. Use a strong outdoor adhesive to attach them securely, spacing them evenly or creating clusters where the light might hit. You might even layer some near the head for a more dramatic effect. To bring your snake to life, add 2 small beads buttons or painted dots for eyes. If you're feeling extra playful, cut a forked tongue from red plastic or rubber and glue it beneath the front coil. Then it's time for color. A light coat of spray paint forest green, earthy brown, or even a touch of bronze can tie it all together. Or leave the hose as is if the color still holds up. Just give it a final seal with a waterproof outdoor coating to keep it safe in the elements. Where should your snake rest? Let it wind through a rock garden or wrap gently around a large planter on the patio. Tuck it under a low bush so only its head peeks out, waiting to be discovered. Wherever it lives, it will catch eyes and spark conversation. But more than that, it tells a quiet story. A story of transformation, of taking something discarded and giving it movement again. A thing that once watered life now becomes part of the garden's soul, not with function, but with form. And maybe that's how we are too. Not always here to produce or pour out, but to simply be. to wind gently through the world in our own time, wearing the colors we've earned, resting wherever we feel most ourselves. So next time someone spots your snake and asks where you got it, you can smile and say, "Oh, that, just an old hose and a bit of imagination." Because in your garden, even a serpent can become a symbol of life, of grace, of second chances. What happens to the music when the instrument falls silent, when the strings rust, the body cracks, and no fingers dance along its neck? Does the melody end? Not in your garden, because this next creation gives music a second life, not as sound, but as shimmering light and story. Let's craft a guitar totem that doesn't play a single note and still sings. It begins, as always, with something forgotten, a broken guitar. Maybe it was once cherished, or maybe you found it at eco-thrift, dusty, stringless, tucked behind a pile of forgotten things. Its wood may be chipped, the finish may be dulled. But look again, friend. That hollow body still holds space for something beautiful. Now comes the transformation. Gather a stack of old CDs or DVDs, the kind that reflect rainbow light when they catch the sun. You'll be turning them into a mosaic, a shimmering patchwork of memory and movement. Wrap each disc in a soft towel and gently snap it into shards using pliers. The edges should be irregular, like stained glass, beautiful but not sharp. Handle with care. Begin by applying a thin layer of strong adhesive to a section of the guitar's body. Press each CD shard into place, letting the edges kiss and overlap. There's no pattern required. Just trust your hand. Work slowly, section by section, like you're composing a song, one reflective note at a time. You can cover the entire face of the guitar or focus on the center, letting the outer edges show their age. Around the sound hole, consider placing the brightest pieces like a sunburst, drawing the eye inward. Once your mosaic is complete, use a bit of tile grout or white glue mixture to fill in the gaps. Wipe away the excess gently and let it all dry thoroughly. Then seal your work with a clear waterproof spray to protect it from weather and time. Where does this totem belong? Prop it in a flower bed where the sun can strike its mirrored skin. Lean it against a garden wall or mount it on a sturdy stake to stand tall. Let it catch the breeze and reflect the day's shifting light blue in the morning gold at dusk and iridescent in between. And every time you walk past it, you'll hear it not with your ears but in your heart. Because this guitar is still singing. It sings of second chances, of beauty reborn, of hands that turned silence into sparkle. It reminds us that art doesn't end when function fades, that broken things can still be whole, that music can live in light, and maybe, just maybe, it reminds you of yourself. You've known where, you've known stillness, but you're still reflecting something, still shining, still adding your unique beauty to the garden around you. So let the guitar stand, let it shimmer, let it be a totem of transformation, and know that in your hands the music never ends. Have you ever heard music in the wind? Not the kind with lyrics or melody, but the kind that brushes past your ear and stirs something within you, a memory, a feeling, a smile. In this next project, we're not creating sound, but the shape of it. A soft reminder that life still dances even in silence. Let's make dancing notes musical sculptures crafted from old silverware. Start by opening that kitchen drawer where lonely spoons and bent forks tend to gather. Or better yet, visit your favorite thrift store and look for utensils with character curves engraving tarnish. Each one tells its own story. You won't need a full set, just a few pieces to bend and shape into musical forms, treble clefs, eighth notes, quarter rests. If the shapes are unfamiliar, don't worry. Think of notes as abstract loops and curls. You're not crafting for accuracy, but for feeling. Take your silverware and, using a pair of sturdy pliers, begin bending them slowly and carefully. A fork's tines might form the lines of a musical note's flag, or a spoon's bowl might serve as the rounded head of a note. You can wrap handles into spirals, curve them like elegant stems, or twist them into whimsical flourishes. For support, choose a discarded wooden dowel or an old broomstick as your central staff. Paint it black, deep brown, or even leave it natural if it's richly weathered. This will serve as the base to which your dancing notes are attached. Use strong outdoor adhesive or small nails to attach the silverware and flowing patterns across the dowel. Imagine how music feels, how it moves through air. Let the notes lean and stretch spaced unevenly as if caught mid-flight. Some may even hang gently from thin wires able to sway with the breeze. Now comes placement. This sculpture shines when it's given space to breathe. Prop it upright in a planter box, or anchor it among tall grasses in your backyard. Let it live where the wind can reach it on your porch, your balcony, or in the soft corner of a garden bed. As the light shifts and the wind stirs, the notes will seem to move ever so slightly as if they're still composing themselves. And here's the magic: people will pause. They'll look. They may not understand right away what they're seeing, but they'll feel it. The rhythm, the grace, the gentle joy. And you'll know that what they're sensing is something deeper, that these are more than bent forks and spoons. They are echoes of dinners, once shared songs, once sung days, once danced through. And you, dear friend, are the conductor. You've taken things that had no place left at the table and turned them into a celebration of life's quiet music. Not loud, not perfect, but utterly beautiful. Because in your garden everything moves, everything hums, and even silence knows how to sway. Have you ever had a butterfly land near you almost like it chose you? There's something sacred in that moment, gentle, fleeting, but unforgettable. It feels like a blessing, a reminder that beauty still comes to rest where it feels safe. And in your garden you can create a space just for that. A soft, shimmering sanctuary made not from expensive materials, but from what others might throw away. Let's build a butterfly haven, a vibrant, joyful mosaic that not only draws butterflies but celebrates their presence. Begin with a shallow bird bath. Perhaps you already have one that's chipped or faded, or maybe you'll find one at a thrift store, its bowl wide and worn but still holding potential. The shape doesn't matter. What matters is that it can cradle both light and life. Clean the surface and let it dry completely. Now gather your treasures: colorful plastic bottle caps, old beads, buttons, costume jewelry, and any small waterproof trinkets that sparkle in the sun. Lay them out in front of you like a painter's palette, and let your imagination begin to stir. You'll want to form a mosaic, something joyful and full of color. Using strong waterproof adhesive, begin gluing the bottle caps and beads into patterns that radiate from the center outward. Maybe they form flower shapes. Maybe they spiral like a galaxy. Maybe they simply dance like butterfly wings in motion. There's no wrong way to do it. Each piece you add becomes a tiny note of joy. Red, blue, amber, gold, all reflecting sunlight in their own way, creating warmth and shimmer. You can fill the entire bowl or leave open spaces where sunlight can pool and bounce. Once your mosaic is complete and dry, seal it with an outdoor-grade clear sealant to protect it from weather and time. Then fill it with just a thin layer of water, or add a bit of sand and pebbles to give butterflies a gentle landing pad. You can even include a few flat marbles or stones for perching. Now find the perfect home for your haven. Place it low among nectar-rich flowers like lavender zinnias or milkweed. Somewhere sunlit but sheltered from strong wind. Somewhere butterflies will feel safe, and where you'll get to watch them dance from bloom to bead and back again. And as you sit nearby with your morning tea, you'll notice more than just fluttering wings. You'll feel the way your garden responds, how color calls to color, how what was once tossed away now shines with purpose. Because this isn't just for the butterflies, it's for you. A reminder that healing and beauty often come in delicate forms, that grace lands lightly but leaves a deep impression. And that your hands, yes, your very own hands, can shape a space where wonder returns. So when a butterfly drifts by and chooses to rest in your little haven, you'll smile. You'll exhale. And you'll know that in your garden, joy always finds a place to land. There's a quiet hum in every healthy garden. A rhythm beneath the breeze, a tiny vibration that says life is thriving here. And more often than not, that hum belongs to bees. These little workers, often overlooked, sometimes feared, are the gentle heartbeat of our outdoor spaces. Without them, flowers fade, fruits vanish, and gardens fall still. But with a few simple steps, you can invite them in, welcome them, and give them a home of their own. Let's build a bee sanctuary, not a hive, but a cozy resting place for solitary pollinators. And all it takes is an old wooden box, a handful of discarded bamboo skewers, and your care. Begin with a small box. You might find one at Eco Thrift, perhaps a drawer organizer, a tea chest, or even an old jewelry case. The important part is that it's made of natural wood and has some depth. Clean it gently, letting its age show. No need to paint or sand it smooth. Bees appreciate roughness. It mimics the textures they find in nature. Now gather your nesting materials. Discarded bamboo skewers, chopped hollow plant stems, or even dried-out paper straws all work beautifully. The key is that they are hollow and open at one end. Using garden shears or a handsaw, cut them into small sections, each about 4 to 6 inches long. Make sure one end of each tube remains open. This will be the bee's entrance. Fill the box tightly with these hollow tubes, bundling them together like a bouquet. You can secure them with natural twine or let them hold each other snugly with a tension. If you'd like to get creative, arrange them in a spiral pattern or alternate between different materials for visual interest. Once everything is packed in, use wood glue or a dab of non-toxic outdoor adhesive to keep it all in place. Let it dry thoroughly. Then mount or place the sanctuary somewhere peaceful. Where should it live? Bees love warmth and calm. Choose a sunny spot facing southeast if possible. Attach the box to a garden wall, fence post, or tree trunk. It should be at least a few feet off the ground, sheltered from strong winds and heavy rain. You can even tuck it under a patio eave or mount it near a flower-filled planter. And now wait. Over time, you'll notice little movements. A bee will hover, inspect a tube, then disappear inside. Maybe a few tubes get capped with mud or leaves. That's a sign of life. A sign that you've given safety to a creature that gives so much in return. And as your garden blooms more brightly, you'll know it's not just from sun and water. It's because of you. Because you saw something small and chose to make space for it. This sanctuary is more than a pollinator hotel. It's a promise. That beauty doesn't happen by accident. That kindness can be quiet. That even the tiniest lives deserve a home. So each time you see a bee flitting past, pause and smile. You've made your garden a haven for wings, for life, and for hope. And so, dear friend, we come to the end of today's gentle journey. 20 small miracles crafted not from wealth, but from wisdom. Not from youth, but from the quiet power of care, imagination, and second chances. You've taken forgotten objects, rusted spoons, broken dolls, old hoses, empty bottles, and turned them into something extraordinary. Not just decor, but meaning. Each piece tells a story, and each story is your own. Your garden is no longer just a space with soil and sunlight. It's a reflection of your creativity, your humor, your memory. It holds the joy of your hands at work and your heart at peace. With every bottle cap and teacup, every coil of wire and painted mask, you've shown that beauty doesn't need to be bought. It can be built gently, slowly, lovingly. Because you, my friend, still have the power to create. Not in grand sweeping gestures, but in quiet ways that speak volumes. A fairy throne in the shadows. A sleepy bear by the pond. A gnome's house tucked beneath ivy. You've made space for whimsy, wisdom, and wonder, all with a few dollars and a kind eye for what still has life left in it. And maybe, just maybe, that's the most powerful kind of garden art. One that grows not just flowers, but feelings. Not just blooms, but belief in beauty and simplicity in you. So I invite you to take a breath, look around your garden, and ask yourself, which of these ideas brought you the most joy? Which one made you smile? Which one whispered, "That's the one for me"? I'd love to know in the comments. And if today's video inspired you, I hope you'll subscribe for more gentle ideas and peaceful projects like these. There are still so many treasures waiting to be found, so many moments of junk to joy yet to unfold. Until next time, may your hands stay busy, your heart stay light, and your garden continue to bloom with stories only you can tell. Happy crafting, dear friend.